Imagine if you could have an AI agent that could run your entire life for you. What if you could just say, hey Sky, what's my schedule is like for today?
Your schedule for today: 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m., meditation and journaling. 6:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., deep work. 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., meeting with Helen Elizabeth Wayne, Arseny, and Merlin Rabins. 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., workout.
Okay, awesome. Can you check all of the emails I have unread in my mailbox?
You have 10 unread emails. The latest ones include: need more details or want to address any of these?
No, can you please open that website that the client mentioned in one of the emails?
The website has been opened.
Okay, cool. And can you tell me what's on this website?
On the website, you see an e-commerce store with a variety of kitchen products. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Yes, can you please tell the project scoper agent to create a project scope for this potential client?
The project scoper agent has created a detailed project scope for the e-commerce client specializing in kitchen products. It covers objectives, key deliverables, requirements, timeline, collaboration, and success metrics. Would you like to review any specific section in more detail?
No, can you just save this project scope to a local file, please?
The project scope has been saved to a local file named project_scope_e-commerce_kitchen products.txt.
So that's how it works. I've been saying for months now that the way we interact with technology is going to change soon. And today we are introducing Agency Swarm voice interface, which allows you to interact with your agents in a more natural way. But the best part about this project is how simple it is to customize yourself. So all it takes to add your tools and agents is literally just dropping them into either the tools or the agencies directory, and that's it. And for those who do not know how to create tools or agents themselves, we of course also have the cursor rules file, which will allow you to create all of the tools and agents for you. So let's dive in. Okay, so first, huge shout out to indie dev Dan. This project was forked from his POC Python Realtime API Assistant repo. However, with this repo, there were a few significant challenges. Specifically, it made it incredibly hard to add tools, especially if you're a beginner. All of the tools in this repo are inside the tools.py directory. And in order for you to add a tool, you would have to create and modify code in 3 different places. Because at first you would have to create a function, then you would have to create the schema, then you would also have to upload it to your agent. So that's definitely challenging for not just beginners, but even for pros, which is why in our repo you can do this with a consistent base tool class interface that you can extend with your own capabilities. And then all you need to do is basically just drop it into the tools directory, and this assistant will instantly have access to that tool. So as you can see, the code is much cleaner. If you know how to use my framework, you know how convenient it is to use Pydantic for tools. So the same principles apply here. Additionally, it made it incredibly hard to add agents. In fact, agents in this repo are not really agents, they are just basically tools. So as you can see here, it has a tool that calls another LLM, and it has a specific prompt structure, and then it just returns a response from this LLM. But in our repo, again, you can just simply drop your agents into the agencies folder, and then instantly this voice interface will allow you to interact with these agents. And it can not only interact, with the CEO of your agency. So for example, if you drop an agency here with the CEO agent on top, it can still interact with other sub-agents in this agency. And lastly, you can't use Assistants API here, while of course in Agency Swarm, all of the agents are built with assistants. So it means that you have code interpreter and file search out of the box. So that's basically what we've done here. And now let me show you how to actually use it, how to add your own agents and tools if you already have them. And then later we'll also do a step-by-step tutorial on how you can create new tools and agents with Cursor. All right, let's dive in. So the first step would be to clone the repo. If you run into any challenges here, just ask ChatGPT and then open it in Cursor. After that, the next step would be to install the requirements. So for this project to run, you need to install UV, which is a modern package manager. I really like this choice, to be honest, and you can install it with just a single command. So you can either use macOS or Linux commands, so just run this in your terminal and this will install UV. After that, you would need to copy the env.sample file. So just copy this env.sample file and here add your own OpenAI key and also rename it into just .env. So you need to copy this and rename it into .env and then add your API key. Then you can also modify personalization. And this is actually another thing that we modified from the POC repo. In the POC repo, it was hard to modify the instructions for your agent, while here you have access to the assistant instructions, so you can easily add your own information about what you do about yourself and the tasks that you want this agent to perform and how. Okay, after that, install port audio. So just simply run this command, brew install port audio in your terminal. And finally, just run the UV sync command, which is like pip install basically in UV. Like this, you can already use this default assistant with some of the tools that don't require authentication. However, if you want to use tools that use Google Cloud APIs, like for example, the tool to check your calendar or the tool to check your emails, and of course, you can also build more tools on top of this with other Google APIs, you would have to get the Google Cloud credentials. So in order to do that, we first need to create a Google Cloud project. So go to consolecloud.google.com and here just select your project. If you don't have a project, just create one. It's not that hard. And after that, you would need to enable two APIs. So first of all, you would search for Gmail API in the search bar here on top. And then initially here, you will see an activate button or something. So just click on that button and then wait until the API is enabled. After that, do the same for the Google Calendar API. Then click Manage, and here under OAuth consent screen, you would need to configure your app. So just name it as the name of your project, like for example, voice interface. And then when creating this app, so I already have this app created, but I think you will go through the same process here. So just click Save and Continue. Here on Add or Remove Scopes, you would need to add the scopes from the README file. So here, just copy all of these links right here, and then add them under Manually Add Scopes. Just add it like this, and then click Add to the table. So do this for all of the scopes. I've already done this before, so I'm not going to do all of that. And then just click Save and Continue again. In your test users, just add email addresses of everyone who's going to be using this application, and then click Save and Continue again. Okay, now what we need to do is just get the credentials file. So go to credentials right here and then just click Create Credentials here on top and select OAuth Client ID. For the application type, select Desktop App, name it again as the name of your project, and click Create. Awesome. So after that, click Download JSON, and this will download the credentials.json file to your local machine, and you would just need to rename it into simply credentials.json. So like I have right here, initially it's going to have like a very long name, but you just need to name it credentials.json and place it into the top level directory of voice interface repo. So yeah, that's basically it for setup. This is literally all it takes. Now you can use it with the default tools. So we've added some example tools for you that you can run out of the box. And to do that, just simply run the final command, which is uv run main. Hey Sky, how are you?
Hello, how can I help you today?
Awesome. So Sky is online, and yeah, feel free to play with this. Even like this, it can be really helpful. I'm actually going to be using it as a CEO. You can use it for a lot of different purposes, actually, just by modifying the prompt. But if you want to take it a step further, what you can do is, of course, also create your own tools and agencies. So if you want to add agencies, as I said, it's very simple. You will just like drop them into the directory. So let me show you. For example, let me take the agency that I developed on the previous video, which is the content creation agency. So let me copy that and then go back here and just paste it into the agencies file. So now as you can see, the content creation agency is here, but what you need to do is also just change the imports. So you can just select all of the code and say change to relative imports. And yeah, that's the smartest way to use AI ever. As you can see, I added 3 dots. This is why OpenAI trained this model for $100 million. So now we can run this again, and this voice assistant will have access to this agency. So I actually got an error because the Tavily package is not installed. So I just forgot to install the packages from the previous repo. So just make sure to copy the requirements.txt file, also put it somewhere in the root directory, and then just run uv pip install-r requirements.txt. So this will install all of the packages from the requirements. Then you can run the uv main command again. Hey Sky, so what's the performance on my channel today?
The performance metrics for your YouTube channel today are as follows. 1. 5 AI trends you must be prepared for by 2025. 16,215 views. 2. Why structured outputs by OpenAI change everything. 13,524 views.
All right, amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Sky. Okay, now let me actually show you how to build new agents and tools in this repo. The process is extremely similar to what I have already showed you in my previous video where we built an agency from scratch using Cursor without writing a single line of code. Here the folder structure is just a bit different, but essentially the process is the same. So the first step will be to open Cursor Composer with Command-Shift-I. And if you're on Windows, just replace it with Control. Then I'm gonna ask it to create a new tool that will check all the unread messages in my Slack, because as a CEO, I also want to, get a quick overview without having to go through all the messages myself. Okay, so very simple prompt. You can play with the models. I'm gonna use GPT-4o for this one. Please create a tool that will check all my unread messages in Slack. So as you can see, it now adds a tool, but here it actually added it into incorrect folder. So this can happen. I mean, we're still working on the cursor rules file for this repo. So hopefully by the time you use this, it's going to be fixed. But if this happens, just tell it to place it in the correct folder. And the correct folder for this would be the tools folder inside the SRC voice assistant. So inside tools, you would place tools that the voice assistant can access directly. And inside agencies, you would place any tools that the sub-agents can access on its behalf. So let me now just tell Cursor to place this tool under Tools in SRC Voice Assistant. Okay, so as you can see now the path is correct. SRC Voice Assistant Tools check unread messages. So let's accept the changes. Let's go now check our new tool. So as you can see, it requires also Slack SDK. So if you need to install any additional packages, you would simply do this with uv by running uv add and then package name. Okay, cool. So let's see if these squiggly lines disappear. And now the package is installed. So let's now run this tool to test it. I previously already added the Slack bot token into the end file, but again, if you don't know how to do this, simply ask Cursor. It provides some pretty accurate instructions, but it's going to depend on the API that you want to use. Okay, now let me run this file and see if it works. So as you can see, it says channel not found, because for some reason it decided to use like a channel ID in the parameters of the tool. So I'm actually just going to tell it to check all channels and output n messages at a time. All right, so this looks better. Now let's run again. So again, the process is very simple. You just tell Cursor what to modify, and then you run this again and test. And then if there are any errors, just add the error message back. You can select it like this, and then just press Command-I. So this will add the error message into the composer. And then you can just tell it to fix this thing. Okay, so the error is fixed, but now as you can see, it's checking like all of the channels. So let me just tell it that I want to only check channels which I am a member of. All right, awesome. So there is actually a way to do this. As you can see, sometimes you just need to hint these models on what exactly you want, because this is a much simpler way than checking all channels at a time. Okay, cool. So now it works. Total unread messages is 0 because I had some coffee this morning. And after this, you don't have to run any other commands. All you need to do is just run uv run main, and instantly the agent will have access to your tools. Hey Sky, can you please check the latest messages in Slack for me?
Here are the latest messages from the Artemy Test Slack channel.
A few moments later.
Alright, so that's basically it. This is how you can create your agents and tools again without writing a single line of code. The process for creating agents in this repo is the same. Just adjust the prompt and make sure it places it into the correct folder. So in conclusion, after working with this real-time API, I found it extremely similar to Assistants. Honestly, I'm not sure why OpenAI decided to create like a whole different API for this, because the only difference between real-time API and Assistants is that in Assistants we have threads and in real-time we have conversations. And obviously you can store the state of your agent on OpenAI site and you can't use the file search and code interpreter. So I'm really hopeful that in the future OpenAI will bring this API directly in Assistants, and this will streamline the process for us even further. So when this happens, we'll probably add a new method in Agency Swarm, something like demo voice or demo real time, and this will allow you to instantly run your assistants using voice and interact with them in a more natural way. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let us know in the comments what you're building, and don't forget to subscribe.